Welcome to PeopleTech, the podcast of WorkforceAI.news. I'm Mark Pfeffer. My guest today is Brenton Dalgliesh, an HR tech engineer with Paychex. We're going to talk not so much about AI, but about how people are reacting to it and putting it to use. And of course, there's other things going on in HR tech, like augmented reality. We'll look at those things too on this edition of PeopleTech. Hi, Brenton. Welcome. There's so much talk about AI going on right now, especially in the HR tech world. But what do you think people are really thinking about it? How are they really reacting?
Well, I saw an article earlier today that was saying most people are secretly using AI at work, even if their HR departments aren't authorizing it or aren't approving it. I think people are cautiously optimistic about how AI is going to work, but I don't think anyone really knows what the end result will be. Like it changes daily, and there's a lot of hype in terms of like what it might be able to do, but I don't think we're really seeing a ton of things realized outside of maybe some of the LLM spaces. I know there's a lot of HR perspectives on the hiring space, but all that is still relatively nascent in terms of like, can we really prove it out? I'm excited about where it's going. I'm definitely not a pessimist, but I think we have to recognize and own that this is still very fluid, and a lot of people are investing a lot of money on a hope right now.
And, if I narrow it down a little bit about HR, I just saw a survey that said something like only 35% of HR departments or something like that have been really involved in their corporate HR discussions, and about the same amount have even started to get into using HR. Does that jibe with what you're seeing?
Yeah, I think at the moment we're seeing a lot of like larger organizations, enterprise organizations really lean into this, and we're not quite seeing a lot of the smaller SMB businesses lean in yet. But I think that's because there's this misconception that AI isn't for me, right? These are tools that the big cats can play with, but they're missing the point that these tools are designed to take tasks off of their plate that are low level in there, so they can then focus on building their business. So I think there's just, to some regard, I think there's a disconnect between where large businesses are able to operate and where small businesses think they're able to operate. And I think we need to like close that gap a little bit and remind them that no, these tools at the moment are really, really beneficial for our smaller businesses because what they've built out uniquely designed to help take the low level tasks off of their plate.
It's a little weird though that people are talking about AI, but they're talking about AI almost like it's a product, where it's really kind of an operating system. And, it makes me think about back in the day, Dell was selling computers saying, has MS-DOS or something. Are people sort of missing the point here?
Yeah, I think so. I think to take a little bit further, it'd be like Dell selling a computer that has the internet, right? Not to like what you can do with it. Like MS-DOS is what I didn't grow up using MS-DOS except for like when I wanted to geek out a little bit and like have a little fun, just see like green screens, right? If you're like the Matrix. Between what email was when it came out and what the internet was like when it came out, like I think AI is in that same space where everyone is like, is it really going to be the thing that we think it is? I mean, I trust a lot of the experts when they say yes, but I also know that, to your point earlier, a lot of businesses aren't taking advantage of it. With some of the research that we were able to come up with earlier this year, it it kind of segues into that a little bit where we have roughly it's roughly a coin flip. 41% of employees would prefer less AI involvement, which I think doesn't contradict what we were talking about earlier when we were saying that, most employees are secretly using it. And then a lot of the HR departments, what we're seeing is about 56%, once again, a coin flip, are are excited to use AI in their practice or in their organization to take those low level things off their plate. But are we seeing the like full scale adoption that you were referring to earlier? I don't think so. And I think where people are leery, especially the employees, are how are our HR folks going to be using this, and how will that impact me? Not like that AI is good or bad or indifferent, but like if my organization is using AI, will that have like a detriment to my own career? I think that's where we're seeing some of these, like, we're kind of like talking past each other in some of these studies or surveys.
It seems like all of the talk about AI really talks about its power, it's going to change things, but it all comes down to it's going to improve efficiency and it's going to improve productivity. I mean, that seems to be the message that most vendors are going out there with. Is
Mm-hmm.
there more to it than that, or is that really what it's good at right now?
It's a fascinating question. I think back to that study done in the 60s where they started looking at computers, and they were like, with the advent of computers, we're going to be down to working 3 days a week because all of the efficiencies that are provided are going to make what we're currently doing obsolete. And yet we're working more hours today than we were then, right? And I say that to juxtapose with the baby boomers retiring, and there's going to be about a 10 million employee gap. And we're already starting to see some of that, coming out of COVID, and, some of the most industries have bounced back all the way, but there are still gaps where employees were able to successfully move up into other positions in their career. And so we're starting to see opportunities for these efficiencies that you're talking about to be realized on these low level job opportunities or job positions. And so I think that's going to coincide nicely with the employee gap. And all of that to say, will the efficiencies be realized by all of us? I think so, but in a different way, where we may not have or need as many jobs in the market because of some of these efficiencies. So will we see less work? I don't know. Will the 4-day work week be realized because of some of these efficiencies? Maybe. But then again, there's going to be a gap in a deficit of employees.
And, when you talk about replacing, workers, one of the things that I see some things written about is the idea of AI essentially replacing HR, that there won't
Mm.
be an HR department anymore. AI will handle it. Doesn't
Yeah,
really sound thinking.
no, our research would coincide with that assessment perfectly. We saw almost 3 out of 4 employees would prefer that conflict resolution and disciplinary actions be handled by a human, right? I was listening to one of your recent podcasts, and they were talking about, would I want to be interviewed by an AI? And it's like, no, I don't know that I would, right? And this phrase "human in the loop" will likely be banned by that. I don't know if you've heard, but there's a school in northern Michigan that has a list of banned words every year.
Okay.
Yeah, people, that they're overused. I imagine "human in the loop" will be one of those banned words in 2025. But the point is, like, there's no way that we can do human resources, or we can even do work itself without humans, legislatively or practically, right? This is one of those weird opportunities where things come together, whether it's from a legal perspective or just like, this is what my employees want. They're not quite ready for some kind of unknown to kind of rule their future.
Are employers in line with that? I mean, employees have certain concerns about wanting to deal with people employers are looking for ways to be more efficient and save money.
Hmm.
So, but are they feeling like they want to keep people involved in HR as strongly as the employees want them to?
I would imagine that completely. Yes, so they need the employees. I mean, HR has proven, especially during the result, like during the past few years with the pandemic, HR has stepped up and become not only an integral member of the executive suite, but a trusted partner for employees as well. You know, when there's so much uncertainty, knowing that you have a person that you can connect with, whether it's virtually or in person, but having that person that you can trust and rely on is not something that businesses can afford to lose.
So you've got this advanced technology, and then you've got people. And I'm wondering, what are the dangers that AI might present to HR?
Well, with anything, the danger is that you begin to rely on it and you stop using your brain, right? If we stop being critically thinking, I was thinking about this from another perspective a while ago because people are like, "Well, won't AI make us dumber?" And I'm like, "Well, do you feel dumber when you Google something, when you go online and you search for something that you maybe should have known or you didn't know?" I don't necessarily feel dumber. I feel more, I feel like I know that I can find the answer. So I reserve my mental energy for other things. I feel like this is the same, right? We can conserve our mental energy for the tasks that require it and then rely on the fact that we've trained our model effectively to avoid discriminating, and that's a whole nother aspect of this that we could delve into, but the whole point is save your mental energy for the tasks that really require it, and then give yourself that leg up and time savings. One of the other cool things that we discovered from our surveys is that according to the HR professionals that we surveyed, they predicted, or they said that they were already saving about 7.5 hours per week in tasks that they weren't having to do anymore. I know we're still on the fence as a society on whether we move into a 4-day work week or not. I know we've kind of already touched on that, but if those results are proved out over time, we might be able to make that case a little bit more strongly that a 4-day work week is coming.
So you talk to HR people a lot, I would imagine.
I do.
Um, how are they sorting through all this? There's an awful lot of noise out there about AI and HR. How are they dealing with it?
Well, some, to your point earlier, are in a wait and see mode, and others are, I need this yesterday because I'm doing too much, depending, like I said, a lot of these HR departments of one are, sourcing, hiring, training, dealing with employee relations issues. The list goes on, and anywhere that they can shave off a few hours they're going to be excited about. On the other hand, there are those concerns about ethics and discrimination and whatnot that have to be balanced effectively and accurately. So there, a lot of folks are really mixed on this one. Wait and see or let's go.
I can't help but ask, we've been talking about AI and,
Hmm.
we're sort of in tune with the industry there. Everybody's talking about AI.
Yeah.
But what else is interesting to you when you look at HR tech right now? Are there things going on that you
I'm
think are just being given short shrift?
Yeah, well, I'm super excited about where we can go with augmented reality. I don't know that that's gotten as much airtime as it should, but with the prevalence and the ability to make these smart glasses that can overlay, the digital world on top of the real world, there's a massive push for increasing training opportunities, right? Instead of like the mental load between watching a video, remembering that video, and then going to apply what you saw in that video into real world versus being able to see step by step that what you need to do is crazy. And so I think the next, I mean, outside of AI, I think augmented reality is going to really change how we train our employees, how we work as employees. There's just so much there. I have 3 monitors in front of me. I could have 1 pair of glasses and have an infinite number of monitors wherever I'm at, right?
Mm-hmm.
I'm not necessarily stuck to my seat in the same way going forward. So I'm pretty geeked out about where we're going to go with that as well.
Brenton, thanks very much for stopping by and talking with me. It's been great, and I hope you'll come back.
Thanks, Mark. I really appreciate it. Look forward to it.
My guest today has been Brenton Dalgliesh, an HR tech engineer with Paychex. And this has been PeopleTech, the podcast of WorkforceAI.news. We're also a part of the Work Defined Podcast Network. Find them at www.wrkdefined.com. And to keep up with AI technology and HR, subscribe to Workforce AI today. We're the most trusted source of news in the HR tech industry. Find us at www.workforceai.news. I'm Mark Pfeffer.